Welcome to the One Piece Vlogs. I'm the Geek BAH Brent here, with your next vlog, the Grand Line arc. Now, as I said, the Loguetown arc was sort of transitioning from the big Arlong Park arc into the future, and this is the future I was talking about. This is the arc where they go into the Grand Line. This is the arc that really makes their journey all worth it. It starts out, they're heading for the Grand Line when they encounter the Calm Belt, which is on basically the edge of the Grand Line. The Calm Belt is this ocean where there are never waves, never winds, it's just completely calm. And on top of it, it's also a Sea King nest. Sea Kings are basically like sea serpents and stuff like that. Sea monsters. Let's just say sea monsters. You already saw one or two. You saw one when in the flashback for Luffy's childhood where Shanks actually got his arm taken off by one just to save Luffy. So yeah, a bunch of the Sea Kings are here. And you see the Marines at this point again. They're actually a little more prominent in this part than even in Loguetown. Anyways, at first this arc centers around this little girl named Apis who's trying to escape from the Marines. We find out that she's harboring a dragon she found, and yes, there are dragons in One Piece. She's helping it because it seems to be old and lost and just doesn't remember much, and it's an interesting story. We find out, though, that the Marines want it because supposedly the dragon's bones can create an elixir of life, sort of thing. So the arc at this point in it basically centers around them trying to escape. And one of the Marines we focus on is an assassin named Eric the Whirlwind. He has a devil fruit power where he can use his fingers to sort of make slicing air waves. Okay, that sounded weird. He basically slices at the air with his fingertips to create these huge slicing gusts of wind. And it's actually a pretty cool power. And for such a almost minor villain, it's almost seems wasted. But it's done really well. The arc is done well. They visit these different dragon islands. There's this one part where they go, it looks like the ship is going into another dimension or something through the ocean, and it's just like weird and so cool at the same time. You see other dragons later on in this part of the arc, and it's really interesting. Well, then they end up, the crew, and after that, after they save Apis and all, they go to the Reverse Mountain, which leads into the Grand Line. It's basically the only way to get there. They ride a really fast-moving current up the mountain and have to go down the other side. Well, when they're traveling over the mountain, Eric ends up coming back to attack them. They dispose of him easily, knocking him into the water, knowing that since he has a devil fruit power, he can't swim. And then they go down the mountain. As they're going down the mountain, they come across this giant whale who's sort of blocking the way. They end up going inside the whale to find that there's a guy living inside on like an island in its stomach, and it's kind of weird. So they talk to this guy, and sorry that I can't actually remember his name at the moment. And they learn more about him, and learn more about the whale, whose name is Laboon. So we also are introduced to two characters named Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday, who, at least one of them, becomes very important later on. They seem to be trying to steal the whale so they can feed their village. And it seems weird that they would try to feed their village with a whale, but hey, whatever. It's One Piece, it's weird. So, Luffy and them obviously defeat Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine easily, and they take out, and they help the whale. We find out the whale has been smashing its head against the wall of the mountain, because it's been sad, because its crew left it like 50 years ago, and it's been waiting for them all this time. Luffy makes a promise to meet the whale once again, and it's just a really nice scene, and me having seen it, here's a little bit of a spoiler, but the whale is actually important much later on. And knowing that, and just seeing this again, it's really great. I mean, it's not a big arc per se, but it really is great. Now, at this point, they basically have to travel on. They have to move on into the Grand Line, and it's interesting. Because next thing we know, they are heading off. And, I mean, they talk to the guy, they get log poses, which are new to the series, sort of like compasses that help navigate the Grand Line, specifically. And while this arc isn't a big deal, this is again more of a transitional arc. The Logtown transitioned into their going into the Grand Line, and this arc transitions into them actually making the Grand Line an important part of the series. Because this one is them going into the Grand Line, and the Grand Line actually becoming the new focus of the series. And it's a good thing. It works out really well. But that's about it for this time, so I'll see you next time. Signing off.